Next up is Touch Base in Seoul. Today we have a Korean-American comedian who began his stand-up career in 1996. Since then, he's become a regular at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, California. He also has a comedy special on Amazon Prime, which came out a couple of years ago, with two other Korean-American comics called Kings of K-Town. And he regularly performs all over the US as well as in Korea and Asia. I would like to welcome Walter Hong to the show. Thank you for making the time to come in today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Okay, first off, the reason we have you on the show is because I saw you at a stand-up gig in Korea, and I thought we had to get you on because you were absolutely awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Say.
I appreciate that.
You are the confidence that you have. I mean, especially the crowd work you did, like oozed like class and experience.
Oh, thank you.
Something that you can't just do it right away.
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. It sounds better coming from a girl, but coming from you, it still sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, you have been doing this for a long time. As I said at the beginning, you started in '96, but you haven't been doing it all the way straight since then, have you?
No, I've had 3 stints in comedy. When I first started in '96, it was just more I just wanted to try it, and because I didn't want to be a stand-up in '96. The hurdles we had to jump through, I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, I'm like, who wants to do that? Because we had to wait from 7 in the morning outside of the Laugh Factory to get a 2-minute spot. So we had to wait all day
7 in the morning?
because there's a sign-up sheet. They take the first 25. So there's an unofficial sign-up sheet that you've got to go and sign up for at 7 in the morning and just wait there. Because if you leave, someone will come and cross your name out.
Right, okay.
And write their name in. And then we wait till 12 hours, till 7 p.m.,
Wow,
and then for
12,
2 minutes.
Wow, that's hardcore.
Yeah. It's different now. Now there, because it's the whole political correctness, the hashtag, Me Too, and everyone's very sensitive and politically correct. They don't want people to wait outside, so they do a sign-up sheet about 3 or 4 p.m. And then you wait for 4 hours. We had to wait 12 hours in '96, and then so when I did my set, the owner he critiques you. Back then he was there all the time, and then he told me you're going to be a star in 2 years. Come back in 2 weeks, and all I was like thinking 2 years. Who has that kind of time? Because when you're 22, that's like 8% of your life.
Right.
Like, who has that kind of time?
Right.
Now at my age, at 45, 2 years is like nothing. And then so I went to Comedy Store and did a set, and they go, "Hey, you did great, but the manager's not here, so come back next week." I thought, "Oh, this is great." Went back next week. My time slot was 2 a.m.
Wow. Okay.
And I got there at 7. I'm not. This is ridiculous. Who needs this? And then so I stopped. And then I went back. I started comedy about maybe 3 or 4 years later. Did it for about a year and a half. And then I stopped. And then this is my longest stint. It's started maybe about 15, 16 years ago. And I've been doing it professionally about 6 years.
Okay. So when you say professionally, you mean like full-time?
Full-time, getting paid, writing more stuff. When I was doing it as a hobby, when I was a hobbyist, I was just doing like 15, 20 minutes. I had nothing new. So for about like the first 10, 11 years, I just had like 15, 20 minutes, maybe 25. But then once I decided I'm going to be a professional at it, then I started writing a lot more.
But even then, so what made you want to keep doing stand-up? I mean, you said you had these stints. I mean, what drove you?
I started to really enjoy it. I mean, I always enjoy the performance part because I'm an attention whore. But the writing and all that, I started really getting into.
I also want to point out the fact that because you're a Korean-American comic, I mean, how was that when you first started? There weren't many around, especially at that time?
The first stint I had, I knew of no Korean comedians other than Henry Cho and Margaret Cho. And then the second stint, Bobby Lee was around. And then the third stint, which is this stint, obviously there's a lot more now. I mean, you have Dr. Ken Jeong doing it. Margaret Cho still on there, and Henry Cho still touring, just not on TV, but he's still touring around. There's a lot more now. I mean, there's probably I could name off like 10, at least 10 Korean American comedians. So the problem is there's too many now, because they don't look. They being white people don't look at it like, oh, we've got all these Asian comedians. Let's just put them in anywhere. No, it's like, okay, we already had Ken Jeong last week, so we're good for the month. We don't need any more Asians,
right.
Much less Koreans, and so that becomes problematic.
So there's like almost like an unsaid quota.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's said. Sometimes it's said. But yeah, there is kind of an unsaid. I mean, back then the black comedians went through it, and they still go through it. Black comedians still go through it, but to have two black comedians on a lineup, not a big deal. But to have two Asians, on a lineup, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. And so whenever I am on a lineup like that, we always joke about it. Like someone, like 20 white guys must have said, hey, I'm not available. And then like 50 black comics said, yeah, I'm not available. And then they said, okay, well, let's just book two Asians. We can't do anything about it. So,
I mean, was it lonely at first when you're doing that? I mean,
well, stand-up it's a very solitary career. We don't help each other unless we become good friends. A lot of times people help each other, but it's unsolicited. It's a very solitary career. Because let's say if you're a stand-up and I help you, you might take my spots. I have to consider that, But I'm at the point in my age where, hey, if you get a spot, great. Like I'm very kind of laissez-faire about it. But even with like other ethnic comics, it's very solitary. It's not a co-op of any sort.
What kind of things do you talk about in your routine? I mean, I understand you're not political as such. You also do talk a little bit about the fact that you're Korean, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm very political. I just don't talk about it on stage.
Right.
The reason being is that the lifespan is very short. Because with our supreme leader, President Donald Trump, every news cycle, there's something different. And you do something, you can only do it once. And we can't fine-tune it. And so I don't really do political stuff on stage. What I do mostly on stage is kind of universal themes about dating, being single. And then I do talk about being Korean. And I specify Korean mostly. I try not to say Asian because I don't want to. Because right now, I think not right now, but like I think from the beginning of time, they like to call us all Chinese. And they still do that.
Right.
And they lump us all together like we're all the same. But we're not. Our foods are different. Our languages are different. So I always have an argument with my Latino friend who they always call us Chino. And so I always call them Cuban or Guatemalan. And they get very upset.
Right.
And I say, well, you guys do the same thing to us. And we have different languages and different cultures. You guys all have the same language. And so I try to specify Korean. And also I'm very proud to be Korean. I don't have any shame in it at all. And so for me, I like to put Korean out there. And, thank goodness for, Ken Jeong. He's Korean. A lot of people know he's Korean. So it's great that and Korean barbecue and K-pop with BTS having like this global diaspora, so to speak. Right. We're kind of on the map.
Do you, though... are you okay with being called like a Korean American comic, or would you just be like to be called just a comic, comedian?
It doesn't. I prefer Korean American. Doesn't matter. Obviously, I'm a comic first and foremost in terms of my career. But if someone says, "Oh, he's a Korean comic," I've got no problem with that. Like I wear the badge with honor and pride. That if in a little minute kind of percentage I could represent my people, then great. But if they, the only things I wouldn't want is like, oh, he sucks.
Fair enough, of course. That's what every performer, every comedian wants to. They don't want to bomb anywhere.
Yeah.
But talking about that, I mean, you've started since last year performing in Korea.
Yes.
In Korean.
Yes.
And you're not fluent or native in Korean.
No.
Right.
No.
How has that been? And what made you want to try stand up in Korean? Because that must be very daunting.
Girls was what really that was really the first reason. The second reason is I wanted to try something in I guess my native country. I guess it wouldn't be native country. My parents' native country, I should say, to be more specific or accurate, I should say. And so doing it in Korean, I thought, and I'm not a challenge person. Like there's people like, I want to do this as a challenge. I'm not into that. Like I don't need challenges in my life. My life is already a challenge. Like I don't need to add challenges. So for me, it just sounded like a lot of fun. And I thought, oh, this would be great. And then, also on the slight chance that if I can get some work here, being from America, and having the background in stand-up, I thought, oh, this would be a nice opportunity. And it's fun to come to Korea.
But wasn't it difficult doing it in Korean? I mean,
yeah. It was a lot harder than I thought it was the first time because I realized on stage the very first time I went up that I don't know enough words. I mean, I knew I didn't know the language well, but for example, like for water. There's different words for water in Korean. I only know 물. And so if the punchline is 물, it's not going to work because they have like what 냉수 and all these other words for word, and which I don't know. And as I was
Tap water, cold water,
yeah,
water,
all that stuff. And so as I'm on stage, I realize, well, I don't know enough words. Where I'm coming from English, where I know all the words, and so I know how to pick and choose what words I'm going to use. And so that was very difficult because I was translating my English bits into Korean. So now when I came back this year, I thought, okay, I have to just write new stuff, and just specifically for Korea, where I feel, okay, this might be funny. So yeah, I don't really translate my bits anymore.
Right. I'd be curious to see your show in Korean, actually. I only saw your show in English.
Yeah,
obviously.
it's a lot less cursing.
I mean, talking of that, I mean, I want to talk about your style of comedy because I don't know if you mind me saying so, but I feel it's a little bit old school, like especially the way this kind of subjects you talk about. You even today in the interview, you talk a lot about women and girls and meeting girls and that kind of stuff. I think nowadays, I mean, that's it's being seen as a bit more risque and a bit like not with the times, especially as you said, the Me Too movement, the political correctness age, and that kind of stuff. I mean, do you feel that change nowadays in comedy?
There are. I mean, so every crowd you get at least a percentage, like it said 5, maybe 10% that don't like you for whatever reason. I'm not one of those comics that focus on them and try to make them laugh. In my mind, if you don't want to have fun, don't have fun. It's nothing off of me. I don't care. If you don't want to have fun, then you don't want to have fun. If you want to have fun, let's have fun together. And so I don't, to me, entertainment, it's not about, I don't believe in catering to who's in the audience. Like if they don't like me, they're not going to like me. I'm going to try to, if like absolutely no one likes me, I don't really know what that feels like, but if no one likes me, then, I've got to maybe try to alter something while I'm on stage. But if there's like a small percentage that don't like me, what can I do? And so for me, I try to I still do girl stuff, boy stuff, and I put it out there, and I feel like I'm the voice of the people that still believe and think those, I don't want to say older thoughts, but just kind of like, hey, you want to be a girl, you want to be a boy, do it. Don't worry about what society's going to say.
I know, but there are some comedians who are like saying they're too scared to make some jokes now.
They are. And
do you buy that argument?
Yeah, I do, because people's personalities are all different, including stand-up comics. And so for me, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to be me, and not to the point where like I'm going to offend people. I learned, it took many years of practice, that I can call a girl a female dog, the B word for that, and get away with it because my intent behind it isn't to offend them or harm them. And that's the way I kind of view my comedy, is that, yeah, if you just hear it and someone else says it, they're, oh, that's offensive. But if you hear me say it, I don't believe it's offensive. Because to me, I speak as though we're all in the same boat here. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just trying to make people laugh and have a good time. So, yeah, I don't get too sensitive about that. I don't worry about that too much.
I'm also of the camp that believes that if you're funny, then you can get away with a lot more. If the material has to work, and if it works, then those kind of sensitivities kind of melt away a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't mean any harm. That's one main thing about me, is that I don't mean any harm to anybody.
Okay, and finally, what's next for you? I mean, what are your future plans now?
I'm hopefully career-wise, I that would just keep working. Just to be able to keep working. That's the goal. Is just to keep working, and hopefully one day one girl finds me funny, and that'd be nice.
Well, good luck on your future projects and finding your perfect woman. It seems. We've been speaking to stand-up comic Walter Hong. It's been great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.